This is Pulse 95.
Pulse 95.
It's the Morning Majlis. It's the Morning Majlis.
Hello and welcome back on to the Morning Majlis. This is Rania Sadi with Abdul Karim Hanif and Ahmed Dawood. Okay, so we have been testing our math skills this morning. Abdul Karim threw a Majlis quiz at us last hour asking us how many nines are between 1 and 100. The right answer is 20. We revealed it. But how much math can we really do from our own head without reaching out for a calculator? I mean, that's one question that we're throwing at you today. Like, for example, we know, 2 times 10 is 20, 15 times 2 is 30, 25 divided by 5 is 5.
I didn't even know that.
Oh, come on.
I'm joking. It's
fine. Okay. But what if I asked you to calculate a complex number, such as 16,752 times 18? And you have to answer immediately from the top of your head. Well, someone from India can calculate even more complex numbers than this in just a few seconds without reaching for a calculator or even a pen and paper. So he is now known as the modern day human calculator. So we will talk about this person and what's also very unique about him. He has a unique, let's say, feature, trait, condition, and he's very, very fairly young as well. So we're gonna talk about him more closely. But before that, we're gonna have an interview. Live interview, Abdul Karim.
Yes, we are. We're going to be talking about the state of the United Arab Emirates' economy, what's happening at the moment, and we're also going to be talking about the prices of gold and oil across the globe, because some analysts are predicting that the price of oil will reach $65 a barrel, and that's our barrel gone in the studios, if you heard that thud. And we're also going to be talking about how it's going to impact the economy over here in the United Arab Emirates, because a lot of people been talking about it, and what challenges and what benefits we expect, because we'll be speaking to Jean Claus, who is the Middle East CEO or GCC CEO of Euler Hermes, and they're saying that the United Arab Emirates is set to make a modest recovery in 2021 after the current slowdown due to the COVID-19. Plus, Ahmed Dawood, we've got lots planned on the show today, haven't we?
We certainly do, Abdul Karim. We're going to be talking about royalty. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, having resettled in California following their dramatic getaway from the House of Windsor, have signed a massive deal with Netflix, which would pay them to make a number of shows, feature films as well. So stay tuned as we get into the details of it and what they've been up to since they've resettled in California.
Yes, all this will be discussed right here on the Morning Majlis. But up next, we're talking about the United Arab Emirates economy and how it's going to be a modest recovery in 2021. Stay tuned to Pulse 95.
Join the conversation with the Morning Majlis. Pulse 95.
Yep, join the conversation with the Morning Majlis. We're talking about how the United Arab Emirates economy will make a modest recovery in the year 2021 after contracting by 6% this year. That is the statement that's come out from Euler Hermes, and IMF has also forecasted that 5.7% economic contraction across the MENA region is expected in the year 2020. The trade credit insurance provider, Euler Hermes, we have the CEO for the GCC region joining us this morning. A very good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for hosting me.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here on air with us on the Morning Majlis. Now, let's start talking to you about what you expect from the economy in the year 2021. Are we going to see some positive signs emerging very soon?
Yes, indeed, we do forecast a positive growth of plus 1.6% in 2021 in comparison to a minus 6% contraction in 2020. Probably the growth would be faster in the second semester of 2021 when the outbreak will be more under control worldwide. I think here it is very key to underline the key role played by the UAE government to contain the outbreak, because UAE was one of the first economy to restart. In 2021, extractive industry, oil, gas, oil, gas will still contribute largely to the growth. But we also do expect other sectors like tourism, retail, to start picking up in approach of the Dubai Expo 2020. Of course, other sectors like logistic, trading will follow the global demand recovery. And I think this trend can already be observed into the PMI index development, because now in August, we stand at 50.8 after a record low PMI in April of 44.1.
Oh, 44.1, is that what we've seen over there by the PMI figures? But in terms of recoveries, is that going to require a lot of fiscal spending? And how do we stand? Because your report also says that it's not too much to worry about because of their very stable sovereign wealth fund investments as well.
Exactly. So I think the UAE Central Bank and the UAE government already send a very strong answer to this crisis, because they have adopted for 256 billion dirham of stimulus package, which aims at protecting the key economic sectors, sustaining the emerging sectors, and also creating new ones. The package aims at protecting liquidity and capital for banks and corporate, but also reduce cost of doing business. And I think here we have a good example, which is a 47 points of stimulus package from Sharjah, where, for example, we have a 3 months exemption from fees for economic establishment. UAE government can afford a strong support because the ratio public debt to GDP in 2019 stood at 52%, and we do expect to rise to 65%, which is very acceptable, especially knowing that the UAE is in a solid net creditor position thanks to foreign assets for $900 billion, which represent 200% of the GDP. So the government has even the capacity to go further, which is very reassuring.
And can we talk about oil as well? Because in the second quarter of the year, we've had oil prices collapse. Oil production was down following the OPEC Plus agreement. Could you talk about the role the global oil markets are playing at the moment in the United Arab Emirates' recovery?
So the fiscal break-even oil price for UAE stands between 60 and $70 per barrel. Of course, lower oil price means lower oil revenues for the government. However, what we have observed from 2015 to 2019 is that basically the impact of the oil price has an impact of minus 1.4% on the fiscal account, which is very moderate and much lower in comparison to our neighbor. If we take, for example, Saudi Arabia, we are talking about an impact of minus 10, Oman minus 13, and Bahrain minus 15%. For 2021, we do expect a barrel price around $50, which is going to release the pressure on the governmental spendings. Oil is, of course, still the largest source of revenue for the UAE government. But what we observe also is that the continuous efforts to diversify non-oil economy starts to pay off, and UAE is becoming less vulnerable to this large oil fluctuation. Here, I would like to do again a parallel to Sharjah, and Sharjah is a very good example where basically 92% of the revenues are non-oil and very much oriented toward industry, wholesale, and retail.
What about your or the expectations and forecast of global GDP during the COVID-19 pandemic era? Can you talk to us more about that?
This crisis is an unprecedented crisis by its nature. It's a pandemic and also by its intensity. It is a shock of demand, supply for several months, which has put all the economies on hold. We also do recall that the global economic condition and fundamentals were already not satisfactory in 2019, with trade wars, lower global demand, geopolitical concern. So what we do expect in terms of impact is going to be devastating for most of the economies. So we do expect a global growth minus 4.9% in 2020. We also forecast minus 15% in decline in global trade for goods and services. We expect a loss in terms of global export for approximately 4.5 trillion US dollar. And as an example, just for the AU zone, 65 million jobs which are going to require social assistance. At Euler Hermes, we have also developed our own index in terms of insolvency, and we do expect the insolvency to rise by 35% in 2020, 2021. However, I think we also need to give a positive note to this. Like any trauma or crisis, the situation is temporary and it is not the end of the story.
What a positive way to take back that sentiment as well. I've got to ask you, Jean, talking to us about the US dollar, we've seen that it's been weakening over the last few months, and that has resulted in gold prices also going up. And talk to us about the impact on gold prices at the moment and the peg to the dollar for the dirham. Is it that beneficial? Do we see that continuing for time to come?
The UAE dirham has been fixed at a rate of 3.67 to $1 since 1997. What we have observed is that the peg regime contributes to maintain economic stability in the country and also to promote foreign investment. So what we have seen over this period is that the benefit have outweighed the negative effect of a US dollar fluctuation. What we should also not forget is that UAE is a major oil supplier, and most of the oil, even all the oil transactions are still performed in US dollar. The peg is also reinforced by the fact that the UAE Central Bank is holding for 100 billion US dollar in foreign exchange reserve, and a sovereign wealth fund for more than 1,300 billion US dollar. Therefore, we do expect the peg to be maintained throughout the COVID-19 crisis and also for the coming next few years, which means also that the UAE Central Bank will continue to follow the US Fed loose monetary policy stance. But it's a factor of stability, the peg regime, definitely.
Yeah. So if you could, I know it's not your domain at the moment, the gold prices, but is this something to worry about, or is this just generic trend that we see that is going to continue for a while?
I think it will be probably a general trend that we are going to see going forward. In most of the crises we have been through, we have seen directly the impact on the gold price, which start to climb up, and where basically people are putting most of their savings. So I think now the key turning point in the crisis is going to be the governmental answer to contain the outbreak worldwide in order to enable the economy to restart.
Well, we're hoping for that. The fiscal spending is expected to pick up, and we're going to see how the world progresses. And it was a very good sentiment that you concluded with, saying that it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the story. It's now time for a bit of a recovery. Jean Claus, thank you very much for joining us this morning. And it was a pleasure to get your insights, and we look forward to welcoming you in the studios one day.
Thank you a lot. Have a nice day.
You too. So that was Jean Claus, who is the GCC CEO for Euler Hermes, as we discussed the world and the state of the United Arab Emirates economy, as well as the region and what to expect globally. Stay tuned to Pulse 95. We'll be right back after the world of business news.
Join the conversation with the Morning Majlis, Pulse 95.
Guys, what was your favorite math in school? College or high school?
I've always liked probability. And calculating probabilities of things happening. It's useful. Even to this day, I find myself using these formulas again. Yeah.
What about you, Abdelkarim?
Venn diagrams.
Oh.
Just because there were circles.
Oh, yeah. Circles.
Okay.
It's all about the circles.
I liked algebra. Remember, like y plus, like the basic one. Y
plus b.
Yeah, I love it. But like y plus 15 equals 30, for example. What is y?
Those are fun to figure out.
You know?
Always, yeah.
It's fun. But what if I told you calculate let's just say, I don't know, 253,615 times 315.
I would be stumped. I wouldn't know
Like
what to say.
from the top of your head without reaching out to a calculator, for a calculator.
That's
Would you know?
No.
Obviously not, but another person would.
Oh.
Yep.
Yep, and we're referring to Banu from India. He's known as the world's fastest human calculator, Banu Prakash, and could figure out something like 869,463,853 multiplied by 73. He could do that within 26 seconds.
It's wow. How does his mind process numbers? I mean, so apparently his mind processes numbers at an average speed of 12 per second. That's around 10 times faster than a regular brain. This is something. He is definitely a human calculator. He
Yeah.
says that he's able to make such complex calculations at a breakneck speed through structured practice. That's what he says. He says, let's say I'm doing a multiplication of 8,763 multiplied by 8. I'll probably multiply 8,000 by 8, which is 64,000. 700 by 8, which is 5,600. 60 by 8, which is 480. 3 by 8, which is 24. And then I add all of them together. But this requires the human brain to remember all of this, which for him he can do just easily and fine. He says that the methods which I use are very similar to general methods, but certain things, basically, it's brain optimization. I optimize my methods and make them better than before. So at the end of the day, whatever I call my method, sometimes it just happens. There's a certain process, obviously, but since you have trained your brain, it just happens.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, so, but I mean, he's got a bit of a story, hasn't he? He had a fractured skull, this man.
Fractured skull.
He's been through a lot, and what I like about his public statements is he's really demystifying all of it. And when people call him a prodigy or a genius, he says, no, I find the word prodigy a little troubling, as it, quote, just doesn't capture the efforts and experience. It's just a state that's obtained out of nowhere. And he stressed that his mathematical ability did not come out of nowhere, that it's the result of hard work, practice, and studying for a very long time. But it is an uplifting story in light of the fact that he suffered a life-threatening injury at the age of 5.
Absolutely. At just the age of 5, back in 2005, Banu fell from his cousin's scooter when it was hit by a truck, banging his head on the road. And then because of that, he fractured his skull. He needed 85 stitches and multiple operations before doctors put him into a medically induced coma. And when he woke up almost 7 days later, the doctors told his parents that Banu could be cognitively impaired for the rest of his life due to his head injuries. So he spent the next year bedridden. Can you believe that? He said that accident changed the way I used to define fun, and it is the reason why I'm here today. So during his recovery, he learned how to play chess and solved puzzles to keep his brain engaged and working, eventually progressing to math problems. So he said, I remember the pain vividly. This is the most traumatic experience I have had in my life. I couldn't even go to school for a year. All I had to rely on to get better were numbers and puzzles. And this is how he developed his math skills even more.
Well, it's really remarkable, isn't it? It's just all about the silver
It's all
lining.
about practice.
All about practice, all about staying positive,
Yep.
all about looking forward to life, really. And that's what he's done. And to become the world's fastest human calculator is incredible. And we've been throwing a lot of quiz questions at you this morning. One thing that we can ask you is, what do mathematicians eat?
Numbers.
Oh,
Do you remember those noodles with the numbers?
Yeah, I was just about to say
Yeah.
noodles and numbers. Yeah, probably them, right?
They eat pie.
my
I get it, I
goodness.
get
There we
it.
go. There we go. What did one math book say to the other math book?
I don't know.
It said, "Do you want to hear my problems?"
Oh,
we should have that drum
We
after
should,
every
yeah.
one of those.
Exactly. Yeah. There we go.
what is pi equal to?
It was
3.14.
3.14. Yes,
Approximately.
it was. Yes.
Approximately.
Okay. And the big question we're asking you is, how many sides does a circle have? That's my big question of
No
the day.
sides.
You sure?
I would say the same.
No sides?
No sides?
Yeah?
How many sides does a circle have? That is...
What kind of circle depends? Is there something tricky here?
It's a bit of a trick here. Text lines are open 4215. How many sides does a circle have? We're asking you this question. And Rania just asked me, what kind of a circle? My answer to that is the circle of life.
Join the conversation with the Morning Majlis. Pulse 95.
Join the conversation with the Morning Majlis. And I started off with a bit of a quiz question earlier. And that was, how many sides does a circle have?
Doesn't
Have any sides?
No. Unless you're talking about something else.
Circle has
Are you
two
tricking
sides.
us?
What are
Inside and outside.
Oh.
No, it's true.
I get it. Okay.
Inside and outside. So that was one of the reasons why we're doing that was because
Well played.
we're celebrating the world of
Mathematics.
maths. Exactly. But now let's celebrate the world of entertainment.
Entertainment headlines.
Entertainment headlines.
Before this would be political and this would be international news, but now it's entertainment.
Now it's become entertainment.
It's become entertainment.
Yeah.
Prince Harry and his wife Meghan, having settled or resettled in California on Wednesday, unveiled new Hollywood careers that they're going to be engaging in. And more specifically, they have signed a multi-year deal with Netflix, which will pay them to make documentaries, docuseries, feature films, scripted shows, and children's programming, giving the couple a global platform 6 months after their dramatic decampment from the House of Windsor.
Yeah, and this is taking place, yes, indeed, 6 months after that. Prince Harry and his wife Meghan taking place in their final engagement before taking off to California and signing this deal with Netflix. And looking into more details here, they will be making content, quote, inspirational family programming is also important to us. This is Netflix's statement. They said that they'll be working on films, documentaries, and shows on more positive family-oriented content.
Oh. Okay, there's two sides to the coin, right?
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah. One side of the argument
We're
could
still
say,
talking about math.
No, well, to an extent. One
All
side
right.
of the argument could say it's great because we've got two individuals, very talented. One is an actress, the other one is
Very much loved by everyone.
very much loved by
Yeah.
everyone. He's Prince Harry. He's been out there and he likes he doesn't like the limelight too much, but he's a normal guy who's very presenter friendly,
Right.
and it'll be great to see. Other side of the coin. Maybe the opinion of the British royal family.
Oh,
is
yeah. They don't like this. They
No.
probably won't like it.
They're just thinking, well, 6 months ago you left. Your money's dried up. How are you going to survive? What did you do? Ended up on TV. Well, look at you. So, yeah, that's the other side of the argument. Agree or disagree with this.
Yeah.
Text lines are open 4215. How does that make you feel? I'm pretty sure Anna Schofield will have lots to talk about this later on in Yellow Home. It is interesting to see where they're going to go.
Yeah.
One side of the argument says they're a family breaker. They broke traditions. How dare they? And they
Yeah.
moved on and they want to be promoting family values on TV.
Right.
Outrageous. But
They commented on this, actually. They
Yeah.
said that our focus will be on creating content that informs but also gives hope to people, especially now that they're new parents. They said making inspirational family programming is also important to us. They said they added that Netflix's unprecedented reach will help them share impactful content that unlocks action. So this is going to be pretty interesting. But on the method of payment, how will they be paid? Given their lack of producing experience, Netflix they declined to comment on that. So it's unclear.
All about the money.
It's all about the money. Yeah.
All about the
Pretty
money.
big names as well. But yeah, just reading the headline, I can totally see a lot of angry commenters on websites like the Daily Mail.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about how the royal couple is taking advantage of the situation and being greedy and trying to make out their money. They shouldn't tell us anything about family values in these shows and so on and so forth. So I'm sure there's a lot of backlash to this.
there is a lot of backlash to this, and it
But
will.
there are rumors are saying that they might be striking a deal of $100 million.
$100 million.
That's it.
Oh my God.
That's it.
That still pretty decent amount. But yeah, obviously the other side of the argument will still say that they're doing it for the money, and they run out. It is outrageous that they broke the family traditions and moved on. And one quote that I've just come across, it's an African proverb, and I'm pretty sure the royal family might be thinking of this as saying, "The axe forgets, but the trees remember."
Whoa.
So, you moving on and moving swiftly is something that you can now pour the water in and water the Netflix tree, and that's your next big challenge. But let us know on the text lines 4215 how you feel about it. But how we feel about things is that it is time for Morning Majlis to head off.
Yes, it's finally the weekend. It's such exciting times. But if you didn't catch our conversations, you can still catch them on the podcasts. Type in Morning Majlis on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or SoundCloud and listen in to what we discussed. If you did not get a chance to see our faces live on YouTube from 7 to 10 today, you can still do so because we will be uploading episodes right after the program for our show and all the other shows. Just type in Pulse 95 Radio on YouTube and watch away.
Yes, and thank you all for tuning in, listening to the latest developments, and participating throughout the text lines. Stay safe, stay healthy, and see you next time.
See you next time indeed. We'll be right back on Sunday morning, bright and early, 7 a.m. to keep you moving. Stay tuned to Pulse 95. There's lots to get through. Future Talk, followed by Afternoon Karak and Yellow Home to keep you entertained. From the entire team at Pulse 95, it's goodbye for now.
Pulse 95. You're listening to Pulse 95. Pulse 95.
It's Pulse 95.